Olamidotin Botuabada, Senior Executive, Social Entrepreneur, a celebrated children's book author and an international keynote speaker. Francis Abarago is a public speaker, tech educator, author, and consultant dedicated to helping women, particularly young mothers, and transition to tech and work remotely while balancing family life. Ugochi Agorio is a strategy development expert with 20 years of experience in technology partnerships and channel strategy. She is the partnerships lead for Google Search in Sub-Saharan Africa, overseeing strategy, content execution, and health AI partnerships. She previously led channel strategy at SAP West Africa and held leadership roles at Microsoft. Ugochi holds a bachelor's from the University of Lagos and an MBA from Warwick Business School. K is the founder and CEO of Zeni, a growth company for startups, and the convener of DigiKey, a global community of digital marketing professionals. With 14 plus years in management, business development, and marketing, she has spent the last decade transforming Africa's digital landscape. A globally recognized thought leader and speaker, Ice has worked with top international brands, including CN and Max.net, and co-founded startups like Tora and News Media. Passionate about bridging the digital gender divide, she drives growth through community, collaboration, and bold digital.
Speaker for today, the amazing Izzat Orni Kehi. Now, Izzat Orni Kehi is the founder and CEO of Zeni, a growth company for startups, and the convener of DigiClan, a global community of digital marketing professionals with 14 plus years in management, business development, and marketing. She has spent the last decade transforming Africa's digital landscape. A globally recognized thought leader and speaker, Izzat has worked with top international brands including CNN and Max AI, and co-founded startups like Tora and News Media. She's passionate about bridging the digital gender divide. She drives growth through community, collaboration, and bold digital strategies. Ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker for today, Izzat Orni Kehi. Woo, super fantastic. So you see, I told you, we have a lineup of powerhouses for you today, so you definitely do not want to miss this. And our next speaker is an amazing strategy development expert with over 20 years of experience. We're talking about over 20 decades of experience here. Now, and that is the amazing Ugochi Agorio. Now, Ugochi Agorio is a strategy development expert with 20 years of experience in technology partnerships and channel strategy. Now, she is the partnerships lead for Google in Sub-Saharan Africa, overseeing strategy, content execution, and health AI partnerships. Now, she previously led channel strategy at SAP West Africa and held leadership roles at Microsoft. Now, Ugochi holds a bachelor's from the University of Lagos and an MBA from Warwick Business School. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker for today, Ugochi Agorio. Super fantastic. Well, next up, our third speaker for today is Francis Abarago. Now, Francis Abarago is a public speaker, tech educator, author, and consultant dedicated to helping women, particularly young mothers, and transition to tech and work remotely while balancing family life. Now, she founded She Imagines with Innovation Women Empowerment Foundation, which is She Image, a supportive community for women in tech. Additionally, she serves as the creative director of Aeonsoft Create Digital, the provost of She Image Academy, and a mentor with Google Hustle Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, Frances has trained about 7,000 women, empowering them to pursue non-coding tech careers since she founded her organization in 2018. And she recently authored a book, Thrive Beyond Today, A Woman's Life of Resilience, Growth, and Work-Life Balance. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you our thought speaker for today, Frances Abarago. But next up, we have our next speaker. Our next speaker is Olamidotu Votu Obada. Now, Olamidotu Votu Obada is an amazing senior executive, social entrepreneur, a celebrated children's book author, and an international keynote speaker. Now, over the years, Olamidotu Votu Obada has used her different vast skill set to impact children and young women all across Africa. She has also utilized her leadership skills in building teams all across Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker for today, the amazing, the awesome, the phenomenal Olamide Votu Obada. Amazing, fantastic. So you see, we've got a whole amazing lineup of speakers for you today. So quick one, I'd just like our speakers to kindly turn on their cameras. I will just quickly go straight into our discussion for today. So now the theme of this webinar is empowering women in tech, building stronger networks and communities. I mean, we cannot overemphasize the importance of community, the importance of networks. I mean, networks open doors to women in careers and to especially women in tech. And also communities provide support, provide collaboration. So we cannot overemphasize the importance of having networks, strong networks and communities as a woman in tech, especially knowing that with the gap we have currently only about a very small number of tech-related fields or positions are actually being filled by women, which means we have a very huge gap. And there's a saying that goes that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So really the importance of building stronger networks and communities. So I like our first speaker, the very first question I have for our first speaker here, the amazing Ugochi Agorea, partnership lead for Google Search for Sub-Saharan Africa with over 20 years of experience in technology partnerships and channel strategy. Ugochi Agorea, are you here with us? Hello.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, it's so good to have you here. Amazing, fantastic profile, fantastic work you have done over the years. I mean, over 2 decades. Wow. That's a whole lot. Okay, so I have a very interesting question to kick off today's webinar for you. And my first question for you is, based on your expertise, based on your years of experience, I mean, over 20 years, you have held leadership positions in corporate strategy at Google, at Microsoft, and SAP. So you have experienced, I mean, you have firsthand experience of the wide industry challenges that women face in tech. So please, my first question for you today, Ugochi Agorea, is what are some of the biggest challenges women face in the tech industry today? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Happiness. I think it's a really important question because, like you say, there are not enough women in tech, right? And I think if we look at all of the issues that we find in tech surrounding women, I think the most important one is representation. And it's important for a reason. When you're in sales, I know that they say this in tech sales, but I think it's for sales everywhere. People say, oh, people buy what they know, right? So it's much easier for someone to buy. If you have used Office for a long time, you would buy, tools and things in the Microsoft Office bucket because you understand Office, you've used it, you know that it works, you know what the challenges might be. So you will generally gravitate to something that you know. And that's the exact problem with representation in tech. Because we have many men in tech, and tech has traditionally been a male-dominated field. Just the same thing with sales. People will gravitate to what they know, right? So the idea is that you then expand that knowledge base so that people then know a bit more about other things. And then they're able to say, oh, this actually works, right? And that's how representation works. If you and I think that's also the genesis of what we call unconscious bias, right? Because if you don't know something, or if you're not used to seeing something, in your mind, you have a bias towards that thing. Or maybe this thing doesn't work here, that's why I don't see it. Even if you think that you don't. So there's the conscious bias where people will say, oh, I don't think women can do this type of work. But there's unconscious bias where, because you don't see enough women in the field, you generally assume in your mind that women can't do this, right? So how do we fix that? What we should be thinking about is saying, how do we get more women into tech, right? And there is a route of, you must show that women can be excellent at tech. But then there's also the idea that with every organization, there should be there should be a conscious effort to make sure that representation exists, right? And what does that mean? That means that people should be saying, we don't have enough women here in this aspect of tech. So when we're recruiting, we need to make sure that we get more women in, right? What that might look like is, we consider competent. And I'm saying this because of all of the noise in the last couple of months around things like DEI, and are we getting the right quality of people? The fact that someone is not in a field does not mean that the person is not the right quality. It might mean that the person has not had the right opportunities. And that's where we talk about bias, and hasn't had the right opportunities, hasn't had enough opportunities, hasn't been given a chance, right? And maybe that's why there are not enough people, not because the person is not competent. And saying that we fix representation does not mean that we are lowering the bar, right? What it means, and I'll give examples. What it means is that if, for instance, you have an engineering team of 200 people and there are 2 women, right, in that team, the women might show up less confident because they just haven't had the opportunities, as many opportunities as the 198 men that have been in the engineering team for 10 years before they came, right? And that lack of confidence might then come across as, oh, I don't think they're smart enough. No. In that scenario, what we should be actively doing is saying, let's give them enough opportunities to show up, to speak up, to talk, right? So that they then get the same level of confidence that men that have been there 10 years before them get, and then they show up the same way. Right. And that's where the organizations come in, because then you have to create those opportunities. You have to give that grace to allow those 2 women to develop such that they then have the same amount of confidence, show up exactly the same way as the men do. Right. So what the conversation is basically saying is that there are core competencies, there are core skills that an engineer should have in that department. If you find those core skills in a woman, then please hire the woman. And then she will grow in confidence. She will then become as outwardly presenting as the men in the team, right? So I think the main thing that we should be trying to fix, and the main thing that women that I think is a barrier for women in tech, is representation. That also kind of affects things like role modeling, because if you don't have women there, who are you role modeling, right? So it's a whole big bucket of issues that affect women. But I think it starts off with representation. We can talk about things like disparity in pay and things like that. It's also because there are not enough women, right? And people then feel like we're playing tokenism to the women that are there. So we just kind of hire them, we offer them something smaller, as long as we show that we have a woman there, right? But if you had a woman who was part of the decision-making process, she would say, no, I don't think this is fair, because why would this person earn less than this other person when they do exactly the same thing? Right. So I think those are kind of like the issues that you face. But I will say something, because I think people tend to think that women play to the gallery when they kind of bring up these sorts of issues. Women are too emotional. They want people to pity them, right? So to women, I would say that yes, there are challenges, but you always have to bring your A game, because it's really difficult, really, really difficult for someone to discount you if you're bringing your A game. Right. So there are challenges. We don't kind of push them under the table. There are challenges. There are barriers to women, coming into tech. But I would say to women, there's a general conversation that I'm having around the things that we can sort of fix. But then to women specifically, I would always say bring your A game, because even if you're in an organization that is restricting your growth because you're a woman, there's always someone that notices, but that this person is 10 times better than everybody else here. And maybe I should give this person an opportunity somewhere else. I mean, I've been in tech for a while, and I've seen it happen to me, to many other people. If you bring your A game, you're always going to progress. You're always going to progress. It doesn't matter if it's not in that particular organization, the next one, you're always going to progress. People are always going to take notice. So to women, always bring your A game, irrespective of what the challenges are.
Amazing. Fantastic. I mean, yes, always bring your A game as a woman. That is really, really very important, because we're currently, trying to balance a world where women have to prove themselves exceedingly, to get a role, to get promotions, to get progress, to make progress in their career. So it seems like women have to prove themselves so much. And for you to prove yourself, you've got to bring on your A game. And I love the fact that, Ugochi, you spoke about representation. Yes, because for us to get to inclusion, we have to, first of all, set the challenge of representation. Thank you so much, Ugochi, for laying that on the table. Okay, so to follow up that question, you mentioned something about role modeling, and I think that sort of points out to mentorship, because think about it. If more women like you are out there in leadership positions, speaking out, in webinars like this, inspiring other women, coming up with mentorship programs, maybe be a mentor in an ongoing mentorship program, or all of those things. So thank you so much, Ugochi Areo. And my next question is for Frances Aborigo. Frances Aborigo, are you here? Our amazing, phenomenal woman, Frances Aborigo. So thank you so much, Ugochi Agore. I'll be right back to you. I have a very interesting question for you. Okay, Frances Aborigo. Yes, please. I'd like you to turn on your camera. We can't see you yet. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. So good to have you here on the webinar today. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. Taking a look at your powerful profile, all that you have achieved, I mean, I think this question is pretty apt for you. So my next question, based on all that Ugochi Agoroyo discussed, is how can mentorship programs specifically support women in tech? Ugochi Agoroyo rather spoke about role modeling, and I believe that's very much connected to mentorship. So how can mentorship programs, you have been a huge part of mentoring women to transition into career. You founded an organization, She Match, that has impacted so many women in tech and helped them with career transition. So tell us, how can mentorship programs actually support women in tech? Thank you.
Thank you so much for that question. First, I want to appreciate Ugochi for the insights she brought to the table, because understanding a whole lot of factors that make women grow, and also factors surrounding us as women in a field that it's fully more of the men folks. Now, women are breaking in, and so many factors surrounding us, and we are meant to come up with our A game. In fact, that's actually my own motto for myself. If I am not the best in this, I should be very close to the very best. You understand? So what part does mentorship play when it comes to women transitioning to tech? This is what I spend my life, my time, and a good part of my life doing, because I believe that women need this encouragement. Now, when we throw out job offers, let's start with that. What kind of responses do we have? You see young men coming in faster than women, and women that are pretty qualified. Okay, so I every now and then when I get to teach, I watch the delivery, and I see there is no difference when it comes to quality of deliverables, whether it's gender, no matter the gender. So women are as good as men. We have had hackathons that were all fully women to deliver a project within the shortest time possible. There were different representative product managers to product designers, front end, back end, and all. Cybersecurity, they were all women, and they delivered. You understand me? So it gives me the impression that there is no difference. The only thing is that who is ready to step forward first. So here comes the mentorship part. So if I'm sitting here and I'm learning, I'm growing in my journey, and understand, because the very reason why we focus on mothers is that we have other factors that come in when it comes to family, managing your life and career at the same time, balancing the two. So sometimes we want to withdraw because we feel like the responsibility is somehow, it's overbearing. You understand me? So we want to choose, okay, this might demand a lot from me. Let me spend less time doing. I'm not bringing in my best effort to be qualified for this job. I know I qualify, but I feel it might take some time for me to get to that position. Maybe I've done settling some things at home, and you see them not coming forth. I have done that severally, even in my community. When I drop in job offers, you see the very best one waiting. And the guys at the other side of it, the male-dominated communities I'm in, come in first, and they are presenting their portfolios. Okay, so the ladies are asking, do you think I'll be able to do it? But the thing is, come in first and then get going. So I remember being in a meeting, and this woman in her, in her 60s, late 60s, mentioned the group was nothing about tech, just women. And she said she's a cybersecurity expert. At her age, our jaw dropped. You understand? Because we expect that much younger generation are going to be in this field. And this woman has been thriving in this field for many years. And what did that do to me? I couldn't resist going close to her. How has it been? You understand? So when we see other women that are thriving and have done so well over a period of time, every woman in her vicinity will be encouraged to go further. You understand? So mentorship in this place comes in. If this woman opens her door to more women to listen to her, they will see that they will do more. Okay, so mentorship plays a great part, because everybody is looking for a bigger footprint ahead of her to put her feet and keep going. Then if you're in a position of leadership, okay, once in a while, throw your doors open for much more women that are coming up to come and listen to you and learn. If someone hears my story today, understand the fact that I haven't had a nanny and I've had my kids, I've been able to balance my career and growth, then they will say, oh, if you can do it, I can do it. Tell me how you did it. That's how mentorship starts and keep growing. Thank you very much. I think I should take a break here.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Amazing, fantastic. It's really apt, all that you discussed, how women should take the front, be confident about what you have to deliver. First, bring your A game, like Miss Agorio mentioned, Ugochi Agorio. Bring your A game. Now you know you have your A game. Now be confident. Be confident. Push to the front. Be on the front line. Do not be a backbencher. Very, very apt. Thank you so much, Frances, for that very, very insightful discussion. I'll be coming back to you, but I'd like us to take our next speaker. Thank you so much. I'll come back to you. So I have another question, and that's for our next speaker. And our next speaker is Ezed Oani Kehi. Is she here with us? Hello, hello.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Please kindly, yes, please. I can see you clearly.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hi, hello.
Hello. Thank you for joining in. Okay, so quick one. Now, also looking at your line of expertise, your experience over time, I mean, you are a powerful woman in tech. So my question goes to you now, and that is, what role do networking opportunities play in advancing women's careers in technology? I mean, yes, we know that networking is very important. I mean, it opens doors to you. You get to meet other women who are doing great things like you are. But I want to hear from someone who is in the trenches. You know, you have utilized networking, you know, to expand in your leadership position and also in your line of expertise. So talk to us. What role does networking play?
I think that beyond getting an education, you know, right after understanding the career paths, the next step is so education, experience, and then networking.
Nice.
Yes, I think that networking is the second, third most important thing in advancing in your career. There's the part of getting the education, getting educated in the career, understanding where you are at. Then there's the part of growing in experience. Then the third most important part is networking. Networking is really, really important in advancing women's career. I see a lot of women who say, oh, I'm just doing it behind the scenes. I'm just doing it solo. I'm just doing it quietly. But the truth of the matter is visibility is not, being visible, visibility is not an option if you want to advance in your career. And then part of visibility is ensuring that you're networking, and not just networking, you're networking with the right people. I've written a lot of articles on the importance of networking. I've spoken about the importance of networking. I have built communities on the fact that networking as a career move is very critical for women. It's more than just knowing, it's more than just having the experience, but expanding and growing in your career, you need to ensure that you're talking to the right people. Ugochi spoke, sorry, I didn't catch her name properly.
Frances.
Frances?
The first speaker?
Yes.
The first speaker was Ugochi Agureo.
Yeah, she talked about the lady that she met and how that has been important. That's a networking move, right? I think that young people who are trying to advance in their career, first of all, so one of the articles I wrote about it is how to network in Lagos and how to go to events, meet people. What are the strategies for networking? When I first moved to the UK and I came to build my business here in the UK, I knew about the importance of networking. So first of all, I downloaded event apps, looked at the events that were critical for my business, looked at the people that were coming. I studied them a bit on their social media. I studied them a bit on their LinkedIn. I went for these events. I sat down where I was visible. When they spoke in the crowd, I asked questions that would have them notice me, per se, because the point was not that I didn't know the answer to some of this question. I wanted to network. And so post the event, I took a picture, I spoke to them, and I said, how can we do this? What is this about? And people like to talk about their business. They like to talk about their experience. They like to talk about their careers. And so that was what was helpful. I didn't go there to sell my business immediately. I went there to nurture network. So I spoke to these people, got their numbers, we exchanged numbers. We had a couple of conversations. Pretty soon, some of my businesses were coming from them. Oh, I know a young lady who just moved to the UK and she's starting a PR and marketing business. So they have also introduced people to me. I didn't particularly pay for that marketing. I didn't pay for that PR. Networking is critical, actually. It's not just that it's important. You said, what role does networking play in your career move? Networking is critical for anybody who wants to advance in their career. When I first met Ugochi, one of the first things I did was I went to stalk her LinkedIn. I was like, oh my God, I have to know this one very well.
Investigation.
Very, very well. I'm sure she didn't know, but she probably saw that, oh, Isaac Wanike looked at your LinkedIn. She probably saw that and thought that, oh, okay, somebody looked up. I went down, I drilled, I know her. I spoke to people who knew her. And so it was important for me to be on even if we're not necessarily friends, but on a conversational basis with this person. I think that a lot of young people meet it when they say, oh, I'm doing it on my own and I'm building it on my own. And that's not going to advance your career very well. Networking is very important. I tell people that when you get into an organization or into a workspace, you have access to three things: your salary, your experience, and your network. When you leave the organization, the only thing you leave behind is your... Hello? Are you there?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you clearly.
I saw Victor on the screen, so I was wondering. So the only thing you leave behind is the salary. What you leave every organization with is your experience and your network. And that network can build you on for the next stage and the next stage and the next stage. You can stack up your network and progress your career upwards. It's super important to career progression. That's advice that I give to myself on a regular basis. That's advice that I give to young people that are coming up. And I hope that people are utilizing it very well to grow their businesses or their career. Sorry, one last thing to add. Some people talk about how networking for business is weird, because how am I becoming friends with a person only because I want to use them to grow my business? So the angle to networking is ensure that you are giving just as much as you are looking.
Yes, I think it should be a mutual benefit.
Yes, so make it a mutually benefiting relationship. Everybody grows from it, provide insights as well as gain from them. So everybody grows from the networking, even the people you're trying to network with. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. This is really insightful. Please, if you're coming in, please kindly ensure that your video is turned off, so we do not have any disruptions disrupting the webinar. Very important. Oh, thank you so much for that amazing insight. That was really remarkable, because if we are talking about inclusion, if we're talking about representation, it's important that you network. I always say something that he who has the people has the progress, because, double P's, people, progress. The right people would give you the right progress that you require. And I also love the fact that, you mentioned that networking is not selfish. Networking is mutually beneficial. It's like a commensalism sort of relationship. So, and I think that should even boost confidence in you as a business owner or as a woman in tech as well. And beautifully enough, she also spoke about how networking has helped her business. You never know. The next person you meet, the next person you get to network with could be your next big break, especially in the tech field. So it's very important. Like I said earlier, when we started the conversation, I said, if you want to go far, you've got to go with people who are ahead of you. And there's also something very striking, I think I have learned over time. You've got to learn how to network with different sets of people. You've got to learn how to network with those who have gone ahead, those who are on the same level with you, and also mentorship-wise, those who are coming up. It's very, very important. Okay, so I have the next question for our next speaker, and you're gonna love this. Okay, so this question is still for Izette. Izette, are you still here with us?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yeah, so I know that you already shared with us, personal experience where networking helped you. The instance where you shared that it helped your your business and all of that. But I want you to strategically talk about events. You spoke about how you utilize events in networking. Can you share certain tips? Because I'm sure the young people watching us right now, young women in tech or women in tech who also want to use this strategy you just you just shared with us. So give us some tricks. It could be maybe come prepared to pitch yourself. For instance, for me, whenever I attend events, I have a 20-second fast pitch. I call it a fast pitch. Hello, my name is Happiness Godwin. I'm a digital strategist and a marketing communications expert. I help businesses. I power businesses with creative storytelling, marketing strategies. 20 seconds. So what are some of these practical things you put in place before attending this event to help you network better?
Okay, so when I actually go for events, maybe the first time, I don't go looking to pitch myself, first of all. I go looking to meet people and network with people, to know and be known by them, to know them and be known by them. I actually particularly start from people that I already know online that, okay, I would like to have this person in my network. The pitch is great because people will definitely ask you, what do you do? Who are you? What do you do? And so you have to answer them. So the pitch is great. So it's a great to know thing, it's a great to have thing. It should be an easy thing. It shouldn't look like you crammed this speech. Hi, my name is Ized. I am the CEO of Zeda Inc. What we do is that we're marketing, we're a growth company for small businesses, as well as now we do branding and PR for individuals who are looking to build a digital footprint. So it's basic, right? But what I do, especially when I'm in a new location, and it happens every time, I could be traveling to Spain for vacation, right? We do two things. My husband is a music producer. We download the event app. On the event app, I search for events that are in my field, marketing events, business events. I search for events that are in my field, and I look for the ones that that will, especially the programs that will elevate my knowledge, or that the people that are going for the event are going to be important to my network. So I download an event app. I sign up for some of the events. No matter, it doesn't matter if I'm spending 3 days in a random place. I will look for a marketing event to go to. I know that it's a vacation, but I will just vacate in an event place.
Exactly, vacate with work.
Yes. So I download the event app. I really like Eventbrite. I'm not marketing for them. I like Eventbrite because it's used globally. And so people always have their event on Eventbrite, and it's also great for marketing. So I download the event app. I sign up for events that I want to. In fact, before I buy my ticket, or as I'm buying my ticket, I already signed up for the event. I research some of the people that are coming to speak. I go there with my, I want to know and be known by these people. Again, like I always say, if you're going for an event, especially Lagos people do it. If they're going for an event, they go with one person. They sit down at the back with that one person, talk to the person throughout, and live with the person. No network gains, no. So I really try not to go with anybody that will stop me from networking. And then I sit somewhere towards the front. I always, it's weird. I mostly always ask questions at events. I might ask people that are already on stage. When they say, does anybody want to ask a question? If the stage allows for that, I almost always ask questions. And I try to ask a question that shakes them a little bit. So they go, It's a way to get noticed. It's weird. Otherwise, not ask question. But once they're coming off the stage, I go to them and say hello. I say, I really like your thoughts on this. But here, I try to engage them. But what do you think about this? I don't counter them or look for fights. What do you think about this? And then I said, this is who I am. This is what I do. I'm only in Spain for a little bit, but it was really great to be here. You made it worth my while to come to this event. We speak, I take a picture, I collect their phone number or their email and say, I will send the picture to them. A day or two later, I forward the picture that I took because it's good for memory. So I said, oh, this is the picture we took at the event. It was nice to meet you. And then that's probably where I would drop my short pitch about what I do. I try to talk every once in a while, or I follow them on LinkedIn and I engage on their posts. So for me, it is a strategic move to grow my business. It's why people say, oh, Isaac, you know everybody everywhere. You always know one person in Cameroon, or you know one person in Kenya. It's because sometimes I might not have met that Kenya person in Kenya. I might have met them at an event in Morocco. So the GITEX event that happened last year in Morocco.
Very true.
I met a lot of people. I took a lot of LinkedIn, we exchanged, we went out together in Morocco. We networked. We even started a WhatsApp group for founders. And a lot of us have shared business opportunities in those groups, right? We call it, GITEX Morocco Group 2020, but a lot of us have shared business opportunities, or people share, this is what I'm doing now, and people share advice. And so I think that the strategy itself is to do something that is tilted for, sorry, my phone was ringing, to do something that is tilted more for your style of how you communicate and style of business. You don't have to copy my style, but I think that starting with an event app, knowing the events that are happening in Lagos, it's always critical. Then there's always engaging people on social media. You can engage them on social media, whether it's their Twitter, not to fight with them or not to tell them, no, you're wrong.
Interesting.
Their LinkedIn profile, make a comment, engage. Some of the really cool people I met them on LinkedIn. We started commenting on post on LinkedIn.
Very
so
true.
There's always social media networking style. Then there's the physical one.
Thank you so much, Izette. Thank you so much for sharing your insights as well. I mean, you have given a whole lot, and I'm pretty sure that our viewers are taking notes. They're getting inspired. Obviously, putting together one or two action steps they'll take in networking at the next event they will be attending. Thank you so much, Izette or Nike. Well, my next question, I'll be going to the top, to our very first speaker, Ugochi Agoreya. Knowing fully well that she has had over 20 years in leadership positions at top organizations like Google, SAP, and Microsoft, this question is particularly, strategic, and I'm really looking forward to hearing her response on this question. So, Ugochi Agoreyo, are you still here with us?
Yes.
Yes, so I have a very interesting question for you, and I want you to share your thoughts on this question. Now, you mentioned some certain things about being in an organization and having more people speak up. You mentioned that having more people speak up that, this department, this field, we actually do not have enough women in the field. So what can we do? So my question to you now is, what strategies can organizations employ, or include in order to have an inclusive workplace for women in tech?
So I think there are a number of things. I think from a HR perspective, so I'll talk a bit about some of the things that can be done. I think from a HR perspective, just understanding the fact that you should have representation and making sure that there are quotas that are available to make sure that there is representation is really important, right? And this is organizational strategies, not one person saying, I'm sitting in HR and this is what I want to do. You're going to fail at it if the organization does not recognize that this is a strategy that they need to employ. So all the way from the top, there has to be the promotion and the will for the organization to do this, right? So I think that these are things that organizations need to take into consideration. And this is not just, I mean, when you talk about, representation as a whole, it's not just women, it's also being inclusive for instance, disability. For us in Nigeria, it would be things like also all tribes represented, all of that sort of things, right? So it has to be inclusive hiring, and this has to be something that is ingrained in the organization's way of being, right? That whenever we hire, we have to be inclusive, right? And particularly for tech, we talk about being inclusive with women, right? So that's one thing that organizations can do. Another thing that I think is really important, and it ties into what we've talked about with Frances and IZ, right? Mentoring. Mentoring is a really good thing, right? that organizations should sort of formalize. When you talk about role modeling for women, right, it's a great idea that you have a formal process within the organization that women can find mentors. But I think another equally important thing is sponsorship. And that, I believe, and I say this all the time, I believe has a bigger sort of impact. And I'll explain why. There's a difference between mentoring and sponsorship. So a mentor will guide you in the way that you should carry out the job, in the way that you progress in the organization. But a sponsor is in the rooms where they make these decisions, right? So you need people to sponsor women into the roles that they should be in. And the reason why sponsorship is so important, and we need to kind of take it seriously with tech, is the fact that we've talked about the fact that women are a smaller majority in tech organizations. Who are the people in the rooms where they're making the decisions? They're men, right? So when we have the conversation about allies, right, we should understand as women that men are not the enemy. Many times they can actually be the reason that you grow, right? So when you bring your A game, make sure that the allies who are men in those rooms where the decisions are being made, because we don't have a lot of women. Sometimes there are no women in those rooms. But if you have an ally, a sponsor, someone that is willing, that says that this is an amazing person, irrespective of whether she's a woman or a man. When I get into that room for promotion, when I get into that room where they're talking about, who do we select to do this groundbreaking thing for this organization, I must talk about her. I must say, have you heard about Ugochi? She's amazing. These are the things that she's done, right? So the idea that we build these formal processes where people are mentored in organizations should also extend to sponsorship. There should equally be the same sort of formal processes in organizations where you can match with a sponsor, someone who is willing to, who appreciates your work, is willing to then be able to speak up for you in the rooms that matter, whether you're there or not. Right. And I know that time is kind of fast spent, so maybe I'll stop there. But I think these are some really critical things that organizations can do to promote women within the organization.
Very important. Thank you so much, Ugochi Agureyo, for that beautiful, beautiful strategy insight. Very, very apt. And I also think it also boils down to women supporting women, apart from the beautiful answer you just gave to us. The organization itself comprises of people. The organization itself is people. People lead these organizations. People are in leadership positions. I mean, Ugochi Agureyo, you are also in a leadership position as a woman in tech. So there are women in this position. And I was invited to speak at a conference yesterday, and one of the speakers said something that was really striking. She mentioned how she had a friend, I believe, who was in the same organization. And when she was pitching herself, she was expecting this friend who knew of her credibility and of her portfolio to, chip in a word, since she had an upper hand with the person she was pitching to. But she said, the friend just said, oh, no, please don't do that. So I also think women in these organizations should actually support women, because when we are standing together, we are unbeatable, we are unstoppable. Then we have representation, then we have inclusion. But when we are like this, there's no synergy. So I also think women in this organization should also support each other. Thank you so much, Ugochi Agureyo. Really apt insights you've shared. I'm sure the organizations joined us today would pick several things that you have said and put into action. Okay, I also have, thank you so much. So we'll move on to our next speaker right now. Warbit outspent for time, but would move on quickly. Well, my next question is for the amazing Olamidotu Votu Obada. Amazing. Based on her wide and vast area of expertise as well. So my question for you is, how can we encourage more young girls to pursue careers in technology? How can we, there's a saying that goes that you can't be what you can't see, and not being what you can see goes beyond visualization of the mind. It's also in the physical realm. I mean, when young girls see more women in tech, more women in the places they go to pitch for positions, more women mentors inspiring them, I mean, they would feel more inspired to be what they can see, because they can already see these women in tech. So I believe we have Olamidotun Votu Obada online with us right now. Are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, hello.
Hi, morning.
It's so good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. So I'll take the question once again. So how can we encourage more young girls to pursue careers in technology?
Morning. I think I would say I was also commend all the ladies that have spoken before me. And one thing I find quite commendable. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Clearly.
Yeah, one thing I find quite commendable about every single person is I mean, I would say I have had to move into tech, right? It maybe probably transitioned into tech. And when I meet women that have been in there for a long time, you know, have been in there, have established their footprint in there from their first degrees, I'm always like, it is very, very commendable. Also because in that field is, like we say, it's mostly male dominated. But one thing I find is you have to, when you want to make something better, you have to think about, you know, what is the goal of it and where is the direction it's taken. The world that we're in today, in fact, I almost want to say, you can't even say women in tech. I almost want to say everybody in tech, because the world that we're living in today is no longer about segregating women in tech. Everybody is in tech. Everybody is using AI. Everybody is. So unless you awaken to the fact that tech is not going away, it is going to be a fundamental part of your life, whether, and so I say a lot. I mean, for me, when I think of my background, right, I think of the fact that my background goes way back from consulting to management to even in immigration for years, immigration consulting. And only recently, in the last 5 years, I felt like I had to follow my passion and no longer immigration, and then move into writing children's books. And that has really opened my eyes to the fact that you can't just say tech is a separate space. No. In the last 3 years, we've been exploring how to infuse tech in my immigration consulting business. And I remember the first time they said that conversation, I thought to myself, tech, what is that? It felt like something different. And I had to unlearn. When you understand, and even as a parent, that tech is not going to go away, even if you're going to be a medical doctor, your child's going to be a medical doctor. Tech is going to be, I mean, now you have people operating, you know, with technology. If you understand, for instance, my child is going into communication, tech is going to be a fundamental part. A lot of jobs are going to become redundant in the years to come. You know, I say a lot to parents that you're preparing children for the future. You can't even tell your child be a lawyer or be an author without using tech. Tech is going to be a fundamental part of everything that we do. So the sooner that the world goes away from saying tech is something that is for certain kind of people, and we understand that it's something that we need to embrace, almost like the water that you drink, it makes you understand that it's not even women in tech. It's almost like saying with medical doctors or surgeon doctors, or almost like saying tech is something that is here to stay. And as a parent, you must embrace it. As somebody that is transitioning or has transitioned from being an entrepreneur, and then realizing that in order for me to scale my business, even just last week in the office, we're already talking about apps. We're having a meeting with someone just talking about apps and how to infuse technology in scaling the business. As an entrepreneur, or if you're raising a child in any way, tech is not something in silo. You know how in our parents' generation, like the mainframe computer is something that you kept in a room. No, tech is not something you keep in a room and you say for special kind of people. No, tech is something that you need to embrace. And I think the women that are on this call will probably echo the same thing with me. And it's something that I've had to redirect my mind to even understand that as I scale my business, as we grow, it's something that you have to infuse. It's not going anywhere. And so I think that is also going to push in terms of representation for women in the room, because a lot of organizations are catching up with the fact that roles that were predominantly for men, because it's not going anywhere, anyone can do the job. As long as you qualify to do the job, they will employ you to do that job right now. And that is the mindset shift that a lot of people are having. That is the mindset shift that even as you're a parent, or even as if you're thinking of coming into tech, don't think of it as something that is in silo. It is something that is very much a part of our world today. You have to eat, breathe tech, for lack of a better way of saying it. And I think that's really my view. Hence why I've had to embrace it. So when I saw this panel, I laughed, because 5 years ago, if somebody sent me this, I probably would think, what am I doing here? But I've had to understand that it's a fundamental part of what we do. And I've had to infuse that even in my business as well, and I think it's so important.
Fantastic. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Olamide Obadir. I mean, you have been a celebrated, renowned children's book author. You've been a senior executive. I mean, it's just so insightful. And having to also transition into tech, and now you're thriving, you're blooming. It's really, really inspiring, having you share these insights with us. Amazing. So I'll be coming back to you with your next question. But before then, I have a question for Frances Aborigo. Yes, so, we're talking about creating stronger networks. We're talking about building stronger communities. But to do this, you need the right tools. You need the right assets. You need the right information center. You need everything, the right tools, or should I say the right toolbox with everything inside of it. So my next question is for Frances Aborigo. So please tell us now, in this time and age, what are the resources that are available for women looking to build skills and advance in tech?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. And also appreciate all those that have spoken before me, and the last speaker, Olamide. So firstly, I want to kind of reenact what IZ said: tools and network and collaboration. So my first go-to when it comes to networking, collaboration, because for me to grow, I need to stand on someone else's shoulder or learn from people that are in my position but are doing it better. Maybe they have more access to resources than myself. So I try as much as possible to build that network connection. So Eventbrite is my go-to most times. Yes, I have met amazing people outside my reach, outside my continent, just by attending an event, connecting with them on LinkedIn, and continuing the conversation where it stops. So being out there, then attending industry events. Okay, so firstly, you are able to go to bootcamp trainings, get your skills up. At least when you show up with something to offer value. You have understanding of a certain field you want to grow in. You understand whether you want to grow in fintech, you want to grow in product designing, and the rest of them. So if this is what you want to do, find where your industry people gather. You must find something you learn from them. There is something new, there's a tool coming up, there's a trend that will benefit you, to get to the next level. So the best thing is first, network, collaborate, then keep learning. So for instance, you're very conversant with this particular tool and you're very good at it. You come back next 2 days, you find out that the incorporation of AI has made it a lot different. The tool has advanced, they've updated. You need to grow. If I say, because I'm a woman, everybody will have to feel of sympathy or somehow appeal to my weaknesses or so, then I'll be failing behind, because the competition is very strong. Now, being a married woman and of an advanced age or so, you're competing with the much younger generation, you're competing with younger men, you're competing with men in your level of interest. Please, I want to understand if you can still hear me. Okay, I need a feedback, please.
Yes, we can still hear you.
Okay, so happiness screen is frozen, so I thought probably my network has cut me off. Thank you very much for the feedback. So what I'm saying is that, so first, the tools I apply, and I always believe in that, is collaborate, network. You don't have an island of interest, a land of knowledge, a land of ability. Yes, a tree cannot make a forest. So even if I want to build an agency or build something tomorrow, I should start with the fact that I'm going to work together with people to help me get there. Okay, so when two women of complementing strengths come together, you will do much more. So for instance, you're very good with marketing and you come together to collaborate with someone that is very good with product creation. You can build something because you have an understanding of different fields. Together, you form a synergy to build something that outlasts you and sustainable. Then you're very good at this and you have someone working with you, you have a future. There's plan for growth. Then the next is going to be continue learning. I've mentioned that ahead of time. And also finally, realize that you need to create systems that work, your personal branding. People need to know you're very good at what you do. So if I have a product, for instance, Shimerge is my a community, my foundation. So I should be able to stand outside of Shimerge, and Shimerge should be able to run itself, build a community, thrive, remain an independent entity, as much as I also represent myself. What if I find myself in a position of leadership? I'm not going to be coming as a community lead. I'm coming as an individual. So what am I bringing to the table? I'll keep developing myself by continuous learning of soft skills, okay? Communication skills, being able to document, create systems, understand, and also build, have emotional intelligence wherever you go. So we don't just show up like they feel like women are emotional, women are going to overreact or take things too seriously. No, but when you are emotionally intelligent, you'll be able to enter conflict situation, misunderstandings, and be able to work through it with wisdom and excellence. So these are tools I fall back to. Like, I want to list them. I fall back to collaboration, networking, personal growth, learning and career growth, then emotional intelligence. So I think with that, I've answered your question to a great extent. I don't know if you have another question or if I should continue because of time. Okay, happiness is not with us now. So can someone help?
Seems like she might be having some issues with her network.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anyone else from the tech economy team.
Yes.
Okay, she will join us very soon now.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so while we wait for her, I can still continue shedding light on what I had mentioned earlier. So I love what Isaac shared with us because it's kind of like I was going to say, did you look at my blueprint? I try to be in industry events, and whenever I attend an event, I try to be where I'll be sitting, take the front seat. That's it. My rule, make sure it sits, if not at the front seat, close to the front seat. You need to focus and pay attention. You need to be seen. You need to connect. You need to be there, not just attending events and leaving without being noticed. Build network. You will never know who you're connecting with, and you never know how that person will be instrumental to your growth. So I try to be everywhere I am. It's always an intentional growth system that I attend events and I make sure I go home with someone's contact or someone or relationship I'm willing to build on. So when it comes to collaboration now, collaboration is very big in the industry right now because we don't have too many women in position of leadership, especially in the tech industry, that can control systems. So we have a lot of the first woman in right now. So looking at myself, if I want to get to that position, I have to look up to these women. But how about places where there is no first woman yet, and I'm actually the one going to be in that first woman position. How do I get in there? That's why it's very good to build network with also the men's folk, because they have access to these privileges, that they've come to this place of leadership opportunities. And if I don't have a good relationship, I'm feeling biased, or I have a whole lot of cobwebs in my head, I feel like this thing about men and all that is going to set me back so many years. So I have to be able to look at the systems and bring in my A game, be ready to network and show the best of my strength. Thank you very much for that. Welcome back, Happiness.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you so much, Frances Abarigo, for that amazing one. Thank you for sharing with us all the tools that we need, as a woman in tech. So insightful. And thank you so much. Okay. Now, there's another particular tool that I think we also need. Maybe not a tool, but, should I call them allies? I think so. I think there are the male allies. So I have my next question. Thank you so much, Frances. So my next question goes to the amazing Olamidotu Gotu Obada. And so my question is, how can male allies support women in the tech industry effectively? How can male allies support women in the tech effectively? Olamidotu Gotu Obada. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your question. And I also want to say thanks to the person that was speaking before, because she said something that was very, very critical, and that speaks about collaboration and working together. In the world that we live in today, it's all about inclusion. It's all about diversity. One of the things that I mentioned earlier on was tech is here to stay. There's no this is for somebody or this is for a particular gender. It's here to stay. It's in our world of today, and it's not going anywhere. I think when we understand that, then the other gender, so male, can be able to support us better. And something most people say it, that if you want something done, give it to a woman. If you want something amplified, you give it to a woman. One of the things that I love, and I'm not a feminist, right? But one thing that I love so strongly about, about tech is the fact that you can almost be behind the scenes and not even know who you're dealing with, For instance, I'll give you a classic example. In the last 5 years, the company I founded in immigration, I haven't been physically present with the team. I've been behind the scenes. We've expanded to another country. And I remember, there's several times when I've been on a call with a client, and it's funny because you're talking to a client and they don't even know what part of the world you're in. The client, you're dealing with immigration issues, they're in another part of the world. And then recently you put on the camera and you're talking to them, and then they realize, oh, the person is Black. Oh, the person is so it's almost like a shocker, right? There was one client in particular, she was Nigerian, and we were dealing with her immigration for a different country. And the moment I had been speaking to her for a while, I don't know why she assumed that I wasn't a Black person. The moment I turned on my camera, that she couldn't believe it. But the fact is, and I use this very slightly for you to understand that expertise is not about color or skin, it's not about gender, it's not about anything. Once you're an expert in your field, you're an expert in your field. Once you know your work, and she was able to trust us with that work, regardless of gender. And it's something that I think she had somebody, a Nigerian, mess up the work, obviously. And she was like, oh, that's interesting. You're Black, you're Nigerian. How did I not put the pieces together? So my point here is, when it comes to tech, it's almost the same thing. It's not about gender. If somebody can do the work, there are people, and a lot of tech people in Nigeria these days, they work with companies that are maybe in Germany, they're sitting in Nigeria, different time zones. I have friends that will tell me, my client, I have a meeting at 3 a.m., 2 a.m. See, for example, this call started at 10 a.m. In order for me to join this call, I had to get up at 4 a.m. You don't know that, right? Because it's 5 a.m. where I am. If I have a client, a tech client, I'm joining the call at 4 a.m. Nobody knows that, right? The point is, as long as you're competent, you're an expert, males, we all need each other in this space, right? It's all about being able to leverage on personality, because it's not going away. If somebody is able to do something and you think that you can learn from that person, regardless of the gender, regardless of who you are, you better go connect with that person. I say this very, very likely. I remember 3 years ago when the conversation started about tech for us, and I remember shutting down the conversation. In fact, I remember talking to a UI guy. Somebody said to me, talk to this UI guy, he would design an immigration app for you. My brain couldn't comprehend it, and I was like, what are you talking about? And then I remember speaking to him, and he was like, oh, you're female, what is this about? Eventually we did speak, and I postponed the conversation. This year the conversation started again, and the person he said to me was, the guy had started an immigration app. He said, talk to this lady, she's she has an immigration company for several years, there's a synergy. It wasn't about male or female, it was about, there is a synergy, there's a partnership here. What is visible, what is possible? So the world, and thankfully, thank God for COVID, the world is no longer about gender, race, color, or skin. It's all about who's competent and who can get the job done. And we all need each other in this space. And that's really, really my point of view here.
Fantastic, amazing. Really, really apt insights that you have shared. So it's not just about women supporting women, it's also about men supporting women. Very, very key. Because the truth is, real change requires real conversations like what we are having today on this webinar. And to have real conversations, we need real people, and we also need to talk about the real challenges that we face. And like Ugochi Agureyo said, men are not the competition. Men are not the enemies. They are rather allies, because we need to all reach a consensus. And a consensus is basically everyone who matters on the table. So we're not saying, oh, women deserve a seat at the table. We're saying everybody deserves a space in tech, as long as they are good at their jobs and they bring their A game. Very important. A quick one in just a few minutes, because we're outspent for time already. So I want to allow me to share with us, what is the future you're looking forward to, talking about bridging the gap of gender disparities for women in tech? So tell me, what is the future going to be like in 10 years from now, 15 to 20 years from now? And what especially are you looking forward to in that future for women in tech?
I think what I'm looking forward to, and it's exciting for me just talking about it. I think what I'm looking forward to is a world where tech is a part of every single thing we do. And slowly it's becoming that. When I want people to imagine is this. Imagine, 15 years ago, right? You're asking me about the future. 15 years ago, some of the jobs that you had today did not exist. Some of these jobs, content creation, AI, creating things in the back end, scaling up your business. I have a friend who's doing some amazing stuff in the health sector. They didn't exist. Some of these, and as a parent and as a woman, if somebody told me 2010 that these things were, I'll probably be like, oh yeah, it's possible. But guess what? I cannot imagine the rate of growth in which these things have happened. It's been phenomenal. And so you cannot afford to sit on the fence and play catch up. If you're a senior executive and you have a team of people, you have to understand that, look, my team has to be inclusive. My team has to be diverse. I have to use tech to scale this business, which is what we're doing. In Philly, in terms of immigration, and even what I am doing with my books. How can I scale? How can I get my team to come up to where they need to be? Tech is not going away. There's no men in tech. There's no women in tech. If you're a parent, you need to think about the fact that, how am I getting my kids ready for tech? Because even the cars that you're driving, I'll crack a very silly, a very simple joke. One of my sister, her son just turned 16, and I was having a conversation with him, and this is so you understand. I said, oh, you're supposed to learn how to drive soon. They live outside Nigeria, and he said to me, oh yes, but we don't learn how to drive with a manual car anymore. And apparently kids these days prefer electric cars because parents feel more comfortable, and this is in the outside world. Parents feel more comfortable because electric cars are safer. They can control the car on the app. I'm like, seriously? Are you telling me? And that is 2025. Imagine what is going to happen in 2040. So as a parent, you want to be thinking of how to prepare your child for that tech world, and how to scale your business. And as a woman or a male or as a senior executive, how to make tech a fundamental part of your business, because it's not going anywhere. And we all need to, I would say, be a part of that slice of the cake. I mean, I hope that that really solidifies what I'm saying.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Olamide Botu Obada. That was a very, very awesome wrap up from you there. Thank you so much. Yes, it did. The future is not just female. The future is tech. And in fact, the present now is tech. Very important. Okay, so same question for the next speaker, Frances Aboriga. What is the future you're looking forward to in as regards to gender disparities and as regards to the future of women in tech? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So the future I look forward to is where we can say things founders and not say women-owned products or female founders. We want it to be genderless, because more women will so saturate the tech field that we will not assign any gender to any form of success. When we say the first female, the first woman to do this, it will become a distant memory. Because that's what I look forward to, where there'll be so much women doing so many big things that we will have a distant memory of the first person to start it. And that is actually what I am gunning for. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, of course, having impacted 7,000 women, I expected that response. Thank you so much for your comments so far, Frances Aboriga. Thank you. Okay, same question for my next speaker, Ugochi Agoreo. Please, what is the future that you are looking forward to as regards to bridging the gap of gender disparities and especially for women in tech?
Just quickly, I'm looking at a future where women are taking the reins, where women are, because the opportunity is here today. You know, this is not 10 years ago or 20 years ago when women were trying to catch up. We have a new revolution. We have this is the era of cloud computing, AI. So it's a level playing field. It's a field where everyone gets in at the same time. So, you know, we've always played catch up because we were not positioned properly at the time where technology was taking effect in 2000, when we thought, oh my God, this is the new era of technology. Women were not positioned properly, but today we are. Right? And there's a new era. We have new technology that is coming out in a time where women are actually in tech, are actually able to take advantage of the opportunity. So I'm looking at a future where, you know, it's equal opportunities for both men and women take that opportunity. There are new things that we could be doing. We should be getting into the understanding of AI, the opportunities that are available in AI, whether it's machine learning, whether it's AI ethics and AI regulation, because it's new, there's no one, right? So it's 50-50. So that's the future that I'm looking forward to. And I think it will happen.
Yes, it will definitely happen with more powerful women like yourself, Ugochi Agoreo. Thank you so much for that response. Well, same question goes to the amazing Ized Oani-Kehi. What is the future you're looking forward to? And please don't tell me you're looking forward to a future where you know, we have better women networking and all of that, because I know how particular you are about networking. Please share with us your thoughts on the question. Thank you. Okay, do we have Ized Oani-Kehi here? Okay, let's just confirm that she's still on here with us.
I don't think she's on.
Okay, beautiful one. So fantastic. I would like to appreciate all our speakers for a remarkable, well-buttressed discussion. I mean, I particularly was inspired. I received insights, I received strategies, and you know, having to hear from those who are like in the trenches, like I always say. Wow. So amazing. So special thank you to our first speaker, Ugochi Agureo. Thank you so much for sharing your over 20 years decade of insights and strategies in a very short time. Thank you so much. And also I'd like to say a very special thank you to Frances Aborigo. Thank you for joining us, to share the same passion that has inspired you to inspire over 7,000 women today. Thank you. Then also I'd like to say a special thank you to EZ Oanikehi, who founded Digital Clan, a clan of digital professionals and experts. Thank you so much for joining us on the webinar today. Then finally, I'd like to say a special thank you to the amazing Olamidotu Votu Obada, one of the most prolific children's book authors, senior executive, and many much more. Thank you so much for joining us on today's segment. So I'd like to first play, a quick game before we go. I think we still have 3 speakers online with us right now. So quick one, I'd like us to play just a very quick game. So it will be, someone once said to me. I know we've all had that, scenario. We've all had that experience of where, someone just made a sentence to you as a woman in tech. For Ugochi, it may have been 10 years ago, it may have been 15 years ago, it may have been at the literal prime of her career. So we're gonna play that game. So when it gets to you, I just want you to tell me, someone once said to me, this, someone once said to me, this. So I think I should kick off. I think I should kick off. Okay, so, well, I'd love to say this. So our speakers will be dropping their details, personal websites. If you'd like to check out what they do, more of what they do, if you'd like to follow them up on LinkedIn, please kindly check out all our speakers. And I'm sure they would be open to embrace questions from you, to see you through if you're a woman in tech. I mean, these are mentors. These are literally women who have gone ahead and are willing to share their thoughts and their strategies with you. So please ensure you connect with them. I mean, EZ Oanike, he spoke about networking. It's very important that you connect and network with our speakers. Very important. So do we have Ugochi Agureo still here?
Yes, you do.
Okay, so quick one. I'm particularly looking forward to your responses because I know you've been a woman in tech for over 20 years. So I'm sure you have some very, weird, some very appalling, maybe appalling statements, surprisingly. Okay, so in 3, 2, 1, someone once said to me that, oh, you look too pretty to be a woman in tech. Why not be a model instead? Okay, your turn.
Yeah, I think mine would be, someone was said to me after I got into a full-time role at Microsoft. I started as contract, and that's a whole story for another day. But after I got into a full-time role in record time, hadn't been before, someone said to me, "Oh, it's because they like you. You talk well. You've gone to school abroad. You dress really well. You're pretty." Yeah. And I just laughed because that was ridiculous.
Very ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
Imagine
how much work I had done, and the reason that it actually confirmed me, as in converted me. So I was like, all of the stuff that I've done, that is all over the company. The only thing you took away is that I'm pretty.
Was a pretty face. Yeah. Very, very, but you proved them wrong. 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, here you are, phenomenal woman, still standing in tech and in leadership positions. Well done. Thank you so much. Okay, so the next person, Frances Aborigo, are you ready? Okay, so someone once said to me, it's your turn.
Okay, thank you. Someone once said to me that because you're a mom, there's a limit to which you can do things. Yeah, so you can't stay outside for a meeting later than 2 p.m. So you have to go for a school run. You understand that? So those are the limitations they placed before me. But you can see what today is like. Thank you.
Beyond limitations, limitations. You've broken the glass ceiling, shattered it, laid it on the ground in the trash can. So beautiful. Well done, Frances Abarigo. And I am so amazed because I have trained young girls in digital entrepreneurship over time, over 200 young girls. So your work resonates with me deeply. So thank you so much for all that you do, and thank you. Okay, so our next speaker, are you ready for us? I believe that is Olamide Votu Obada. Okay, someone once said to me, it's your turn.
Somebody once said to me, you're too young. What do you even know? What do you even know in tech? Or maybe you're too early. Maybe you're too early in the game. And I'm like, seriously, too early in the game? I'm here at the right place at the right time, you know? And being too young back then, I'm like, no, that's why I'm in the right place at the right time. And yeah, I think that's what someone once said to me when I started getting into tech. Or you never understand it. Actually, that was the worst one I ever heard. You will never understand it. And I'm like, never understand what? It's too complicated for you. No, there's nothing too complicated. Absolutely not.
Very true. There's nothing too complicated if you put your mind to it. And well, I must commend all our speakers for today. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, taking out your time to join us. I'd like to especially appreciate once again the amazing Ugochi Agoreyo. Thank you for joining us today and sharing your insights. Next up, I'd like to appreciate the amazing Olamide Votu Obada. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us today. Next up, I'd like to appreciate the amazing Frances Abarigo. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Thank you for joining us. And finally, the awesome Ized Oani Keyi. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure our viewers have been so inspired, have been so educated and informed on what next step to take and how to navigate this gender inclusion issues that we face as women in tech, and as well as how to position themselves for progress and for breaks in their career path. Very important. I'd like to also appreciate Tech Economy Business Series for putting this webinar together in order to inspire and to support women in tech. Thank you once again to my amazing speakers. So if you have more questions for the speakers, you can obviously connect with them across LinkedIn. I believe some of our speakers will also put up their information on the chat room. So please check out their details. Follow them if you have to, connect with them. Of course, you have to. It's important because these are mentors. They've gone ahead of us. So it's very important that you follow them, connect with them, ask them questions if you have any questions. And I'm sure at their free time, they'll be able to see you through. And very importantly, do not forget the key points that has been discussed today. I mean, Frances Abarigo talked about how important it is for you to bring yourself to the front line. You cannot have representation if you are not on the front line. So you've got to be bold enough to come forward. Ms. Agoreyo spoke about being bold and taking bold steps, you know, and bringing your A game. It's very important. Then the amazing lady Ized Oani spoke about, you know, networking. It's very, very important. So I'd like to say a special thank you to all our viewers for joining us today. As well. Well, it's a thank you once again to Tech Economy. And finally, thank you to me, the moderator of today's webinar on empowering women in tech, building stronger networks and stronger communities. Until next time we come your way again, keep inspiring, keep being inclusive, and keep making progress in your career path. I wish you good luck, and I wish you the very best of progress in all that you do. Bye-bye. I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, Happiness. Really great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you. Pleasure to meet you.
Speakers. Yes,
Everyone.
please. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Okay.